Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters in comics, so it did not come as a surprise when Marvel decided to capitalize on his familiar name and trademark by creating a new hero to follow somewhat in his footsteps, Spider-Woman. Thus, Jessica Drew was born. Originally, her backstory was that she was a spider who had turned into a woman from, I guess, a radioactive woman bite, maybe? But later this was retconned and written off as too silly of a story, even for comics, even in the 70s. And instead, she was given the backstory of a sick little girl whose father gave her an experimental treatment based on spider DNA to save her life. Oh, and the High Evolutionary was there too. True story. Later, Hydra would be blamed for her original backstory, as it was explained that they had captured and brainwashed her into thinking she had once been a spider. Well, Jessica Drew made her comic book debut in Marvel Spotlight issue 32 in 1977. She is not as well known as Peter Parker's Spider-Man, so we thought we'd share some info about her and her abilities as we count down the top 10 superpowers you never knew Spider-Woman had. And if you like learning about comic books and the heroes and villains within their stories, feel free to click that subscribe button. Click it, just click it. Do it. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Skilled Spy. Jessica Drew has been trained in espionage by Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. and actually is a fantastic spy. Her training likely also came in handy in the Spider-Verse when she infiltrated the Inheritors, going undercover and impersonating Morland's lover on Loomworld, who apparently just happened to look exactly like her. Weird. Talk about taking one for the team. Her assistance in the Spider-Verse storyline, however, went to show just how formidable a foe Jessica Drew can be. All I'm saying is you would not want to get on her bad side. So wait, when Veronica the Skrull Queen was posing as Jessica Drew, when she went on like a spy mission for S.H.I.E.L.D., would we call that spyception? Spies on spies on spies? Number 9. Super Sleuth. When you think of Jessica Drew, you may think of her more spider-like abilities, but what you might have forgotten is that she's actually a registered private investigator. That's right. At one point, Jessica Drew moved to San Francisco and worked hard to get her private investigator license. Not only that, but she was good at it too. During this time in her life, everything felt like it was actually going super right. She opened her own successful PI business, her vigilante persona was being praised by the city as she was referred to as the Dark Angel of San Francisco, and she fell in love with her landlord, David. Unfortunately, the last part didn't end up working out after David discovered that she was a superhero. And after a fight with Morgan Le Fay, she ended up comatose. And once she was revived, powerless. Harsh. What a harsh time. Not surprised she's a super sleuth, considering that she was kind of inspired by Nancy Drew. Number 8. Insane amount of endurance. Jessica Drew is one of the few heroes who is known for fighting crime even while very visibly pregnant. I mean, sure, other women have probably done it. Sue Storm has also probably fought while she was, with child, but none have gone quite as hard as Spider-Woman. While checking out an off-world maternity ward, a very, very pregnant Jessica found herself fighting hard as it was invaded by Skrulls. I kid you not. Not only is that impressive enough, but she kicked some serious butt and almost handily defeated them until she went into labor. She managed to get away with some doctors, give birth, and return with stitches as she had just had a C-section delivery, and take out the rest of the Skrulls. Like, I'm all for girl power, but this is an impossible level of endurance. What is going on in these comics? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of all the pregnant women that I have known in my life, and I'm like, could you imagine? Although they're rage. They sometimes can rage like crazy, so maybe it could happen. Number 7. Glide. Many think that Spider-Woman can fly in the comics, which would be pretty cool, given that she doesn't have Spider-Man's famous web shooters. However, this is not true. She cannot fly. What she can do is glide. Glide, 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 glide. This power of gliding through the air looking like she is flying is granted by her suit design, and is still pretty cool all in all. She once had a fight with the Hornet in mid-air and kicked his butt, which he definitely deserved, by the way. Jessica Drew is the only Spider-Woman to have this design. Many different Spider-Women have come and gone after her, but while those other Spider-Women may have adopted the mantle, they all adopted pretty different suits. I think one of them had like webbing, but a lot of them have like legs coming out of them. It's creepy. I kinda like it though. Number 6. Psychic shields. Jessica had psychic shields implanted by S.H.I.E.L.D. and some strong ones too apparently. These shields allow her to resist attacks from 3-in-1, who once joined with Emma Frost in an attempt to take on a future alternate version of Jean Grey, and allowed her to resist an attack from Professor Xavier, which of course also surprised him, leaving her standing after many others were knocked down. Pretty impressive, Jess. Number 5. Super Smell. As Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew has heightened senses, but one you might be surprised to hear about is her super smell. Her smell is so good that she was able to tell that the Nick Fury she was talking to in New Avengers Volume 1, Issue 23 was an AI decoy, as opposed to the real thing. She commented to Maria Hill on her improvements to the model, but cited the smell as the thing that tipped her off. That's some Wolverine level sense of smell there. Unless S.H.I.E.L.D.'s AIs like reek of oil or something, which I sincerely doubt considering how many other people they have succeeded in fooling, this is pretty impressive. Number 4. Dimensional Travel. Jessica ended up getting her very own dimensional watch following the Spider-Verse events. This device was listed as part of her equipment at the back of Spider-Gwen Volume 2, Issue 7. The weird thing though is that in that issue, it was Spider-Gwen's dimensional watch that went missing, not Jessica's. Yet Jessica was concerned about being without a way to teleport home after her and Silk of Earth 616 had joined Gwen on Earth 65 for brunch. Spider-Gwen's device was stolen, and Jessica Drew, Spider-Gwen, and Silk of Earth 616 had to team up to retrieve it. It's just really weird that at the end of this issue, it acknowledges that Jess has one, cause like she clearly didn't have it in that issue. If she found out that she did, she would have like teleported home to her baby in an instant. I am sure. She loves that baby. She loves it. Little baby Jerry. Pretty cute baby actually. Number 3. Pheromones. When Jessica Drew was first introduced, she struggled a lot to deal with other people. I mean, of course, she was basically raised in a tube and then later brainwashed by a Hydra into thinking that she'd been a spider, so kind of understand where that comes from. She was known as socially awkward and often written as shy. She ended up feeling isolated and removed from the world, though we later found out the reason she seemed to drive so many people away is because she unknowingly produced fear-inducing pheromones. This later was a forgotten power as Jessica took medication to help suppress it. Later it was implied that the extra pheromones she produced were actually seductive in nature. Or maybe she had just gotten better control of them? I don't know. But she definitely has used them to seduce people before. And once again later she decided to use a fragrance to neutralize and mask her pheromones instead. So this power is still not really often brought up or used, though one time she did use it to get Hulk to make her a sandwich. I'm not joking, that happened. Can check it out. Number 2. Superhuman Speed. Not only does Spider-Woman have superhuman strength like other spider people, but she also has superhuman speed. In Spider-Woman Volume 1 Issue 40, she is fighting the Flying Tiger. When he swings and misses her, he ends up puzzled. He wonders if she even moved and how he could have possibly missed her. Didn't see her move at all. Jessica reveals in a thought bubble that she is simply too fast for him to see, confessing that she can move faster than one's eyes. She also seems to be able to fall really fast in the comics for some reason. And that fight between her and Tiger has some crazy hilarious dialogue. If you haven't read it yet, you really should. No, Tiger, you're inept. I'm gonna use that insult on people. You're inept. Stop that. Number 1. Venom Blasts. A unique ability that Spider-Woman has that not many other spider people possess is her Venom Blasts. She can shoot bioelectric energy from her hands, which allows her to shock an assailant and often knock them out. This power has the ability to target multiple people, travel through metal as it is an electrical current, and even move through others and leap to another target, like lightning. And these Venom Blasts are powerful. She's used these powers before to hurt Null, Breaker of Worlds, stun an Aleph, and even kill someone. Accidentally, of course. She didn't mean to. She's like, nah, oops. Killed ya. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you learned some new things about Jessica Drew. Her dialogue is often also just great, so if you haven't read any of her stuff, you should really check it out. Even in some of the older comics from the 70s, the dialogue is, it's priceless. It's priceless, really. One thing I have always loved about many of the Spider people is how witty many of them are. It makes them such a delight to read, and it just leaves you with like a nice little chuckle. Who are some of your favorites of the Spider folks? Are there any other superpowers you found surprising when it came to Jessica Drew's abilities? If you could have any Spider-Sona ability, what would it be? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Black Flash Facts You Need to Know. Ben Parrish writes, "Great video, Miss Amanda. I am the Speed Force." Thanks for watching, Ben. And I would say if you are the Speed Force, we should watch out for you. But we likely won't even be able to see you, if you are, because you're too fast. Woo! Zach Bahamutson suggests maybe the Black Flash gets its powers from both the Speed Force and the Negative Speed Force. That way it would explain why sometimes the Black Flash's energy streaks are red. Touché! because I mean, you're right, they're not always consistently the same color. And the Black Flash can affect speedsters who are using either type of force, so that's a valid theory. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for your chance to get featured in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you, stay nerdy YouTube.